So, today we're diving into something a little different. It's not your typical policy proposal. No, this is way more fun. It's actually a fictional, satirical play that asks what would happen if a democratic socialist actually ran New York City. And get this, the whole thing is framed like an 8-year-long SNL sketch. It's a pretty wild thought experiment, and we're going to walk through it.
And right from the jump, the source material just nails the tone with this quote. You gotta love it. This tells you everything you need to know, right? This is not some dry academic paper. It's a comedy. But, and this is the key part, the jokes are really just a vehicle to explore some pretty deep, serious ideas about what a city could actually look like. So yeah, the best way to think about this whole thing is like a series of comedy sketches. The point isn't to draw up a perfect utopia, not at all. It's more about asking, hey, what happens when you run a city based on kindness and accountability? And as you can imagine, it might lead to a little bit of, well, hilarious chaos.
Okay, so let's get into it. First up, the first act of this whole experiment, years 1 and 2. This is the honeymoon phase, you know? It's where all the big popular ideas get rolled out in this massive flurry of activity. The whole thing is kind of set in this old upscale cafe that's been turned into a co-op called Beans of the People. You can just picture it, right?
And wow, what a flurry it is. I mean, they're not messing around. The administration comes out swinging right away. We're talking fare-free buses, more rent stabilization, and they even created something called a tenants' rights strike team. These aren't small tweaks. These are immediate, tangible changes you can feel, all designed to make life a little easier and more secure for the average person in the city.
Okay, so here's where we get to the heart of it, the immediate impact. On the pro side, you've got these huge wins for the community. Bus ridership just surges, evictions drop by a ton, air quality even gets better. But then you look at the con side, and they are just as immediate and honestly pretty funny. You've got hedge funds literally fleeing to Hoboken, landlords sending out newsletters with feelings, and the bureaucracy, well, it starts to get real complicated.
And this quote right here from Vinny the plumber, it just sums up the whole vibe perfectly. On one hand, he's saving $90 a week. That's real money in his pocket. But on the other hand, his landlord now sends him newsletters with feelings. It's that perfect mix of real, genuine progress and this completely absurd, comedic new reality.
All right, let's shift gears, moving on to the next phase, years 3 and 4. So after they've tackled transit and groceries, the administration decides to take on the absolute monster of an issue, housing. And how do they approach this massive, complicated problem? Well, with a full-blown musical, obviously. And the main goal here is just staggering. They want to create 25,000 units of social housing, not in total, per year. That is a huge, ambitious number. It signals a complete change in how the city thinks about development. But you know, a big number on a poster is one thing. Actually making it happen, that's a whole other story. And this is what making it happen sounds like. This little jingle is from a character named Inspector Ada, the permits demigod, and it just perfectly captures the reality behind that big vision. You see, all that progress gets tangled up in a giant web of permits and processes. As the song says, equity takes time and a whole lot of paperwork. So the plan itself has some really solid, concrete steps, right? Convert old hotels into homes, set up solidarity banks for worker co-ops. Sounds good. But then you get to step 4. And step 4 is navigating the committee. And no, that's not a typo. It's a joke that hits so hard because anyone who has ever dealt with bureaucracy just knows that feeling. It feels totally real. So really, the big takeaway from these years is this constant trade-off. On the plus side, more people are getting keys to homes they can actually afford. There's more care in the community. But the price you pay for that progress? Just an explosion of forms and red tape. It's like the city is trying to learn to sing in harmony, but man, it is a complicated song. All right, we're at the halfway point now. Years 5 and 6. Think of it like a mid-decade check-in. That initial buzz and excitement has kind of settled down, and now the city has to deal with the long-term effects of this whole revolution. The vibe has definitely shifted. It's less of a pep rally and more like one of those serious weekend update segments on SNL. And this slide just lays out the central dilemma perfectly. It's like this seesaw between care and capital. On the care side, all that investment is really paying off. You're seeing poverty and asthma rates go down. Awesome. But on the capital side, things are getting tense. You've got memes flying around about talent leakage, and the city budget is basically sending texts that say, "We need to talk." Not a good sign.
And this era gives us a brand new piece of slang that just perfectly describes the city's growing pains. Get ready for it. Welcome to Backlogistan. It's the unofficial new borough where every single maintenance ticket and permit request goes to wait. It's a really funny name, but it's also a sharp critique of how even a system with the best intentions can just get totally overwhelmed. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom and backlogs. Not at all. This chart shows you the other side of the story. For regular people, power bills are actually shrinking. For essential workers like nurses, stress levels are dropping significantly. And the city? Well, it's trying to figure out how to pay for all this with new ideas like congestion fees and a wealth duty. Okay, let's head into the final act, years 7 and 8. The big revolution has already happened. Now comes the really hard part, just maintenance. The energy has totally shifted. It's not about radical change anymore. It's about the exhausting day in, day out grind of just making the city run. So, welcome to the Council of Very Tired People. And just look at their agenda. It really says it all. The first two items are pretty much, we did a lot of stuff, followed immediately by, we really need a nap. And the rest of the list, it's the totally unglamorous reality of running a city. Debt, storm drains, bureaucracy bloat. All the poetry from the early years is gone. Now it's just prose. And this heckle from someone in the audience just captures the mood of the entire city after 8 years. People are still on board with the mission, right? They love the idea of equity, but they're also getting really frustrated with the day-to-day stuff not working right. They want the big, inspiring vision, sure, but they also just want their light bulbs to turn on. So, when you look at the final scorecard after 8 years, it's pretty mixed, which is exactly what you'd expect. In the wins column, you have these incredible, lasting achievements. Transit is almost free. Community land trusts are actually thriving. But the challenges column is just as full. You've got debt piling up and a bureaucracy that's slow and feels like a maze to navigate. So, after 8 years of all this, the comedic chaos, the musicals about bureaucracy, the councils full of tired people, what is the big takeaway? What's the point of this whole thought experiment? Let's try and wrap it all up. And the play itself asks that same big question right at the end. So, really, what was the point of all this? Was the goal to prove that one particular system works perfectly? Was it to build some flawless, shining city on a hill? And the answer it gives is a very clear no. The point was never about achieving perfection. It was about participation. It was about trying to change New York from this, dog-eat-dog cutthroat place into something else. A messy, difficult, for sure, but ultimately more humane collaboration. The victory wasn't in the destination, it was in the journey itself. And it all boils down to this one really powerful idea. This was the guiding light for the entire 8-year experiment. It's a direct challenge to how we usually measure success, whether it's for a city or even for ourselves. And it leaves us with one final big question to think about. What would our cities look like if they were built not just for profit, but for people?